Hi, Christina here, and I'm going to take you through the resources that we use for our mini unit on Nova Scotia, which we recently completed. Now we have 5 children. They are currently 10, 8, 7, 4, and 1. So that's grade 5, grade 3, grade 2, preschool, and then our youngest. Now we are studying Canada for the entire year across many subjects. This video is focusing just on our social studies, our geography, and our art, which we are doing province by territory throughout the year. Now each of our units is set up in the same way. We start off with this book here from the Canada Up Close series, simply entitled Nova Scotia. Give you a quick look inside. This is geared towards, I believe it is 6 to 9 year olds, and it has pictures and some very basic information. So we start off with the provincial book from the Canada Up Close series. And then we use this book here. This is Exploring Canada's Geography by Apple Press, and this is for grades 4 to 6. This is additional reading as well as worksheets, and I'll show you their binders in a little bit, and you can see how we kind of put it together, and we make this work family style, but also age appropriate for each child. We also use this series here. This is the Canadian Sights and Symbols, Nova Scotia, just because there's a few things in here that I like that the Up Close series doesn't have in it. And then because there is a lot of overlap, we are also doing our read-alouds and some independent readers based each province as we go along. So we've been working our way through the Canadian Flyer series, and this time we read 3 of their books. So we read this one here, which is Flying High. All their books are very similar, short, with some pictures, very easy reads. This one here, which is Far From Home, and this one here, which is Halifax Explodes. And again, they're all very similar. And then for the independent readers, my 7-year-old read this song here, A Song for Acadia by Mary Alice Downey, and he said that he really enjoyed it. It's not too long, there's some pictures, fairly basic. He had no problem reading this one. My 8-year-old, he read this book here, The Halifax Explosion, Surviving the Blast That Shook a Nation by Joyce Glasner. You can see it's a little bit thicker, a little bit smaller font. So that was the book he read. The second book that he read is this one here, Last Days in Africville, and by Dorothy Perkins. I'll show you the inside there. This one, again, it's a little bit smaller font, a little longer, no pictures in it. So he read that one. And then actually my 10-year-old, he also read this book here. And then he read 2 from the Dear Canada series, which if you're not familiar with, is a really great historical fiction series in Canada. So That Fatal Night, The Titanic Diary of Dorothy Wilton, Halifax, Nova Scotia, 1912. I'll just show you what this looks like. There's usually some pictures in the back that kind of like real pictures. They are written in diary form, but they are not actual diaries. They are based on true events, true people, true situations, but they're not actually diaries. Then this one here, No Safe Harbor, The Halifax Explosion Diary of Charlotte Blackburn, Halifax, Nova Scotia, 1917. And again, very similar. So then we focused on the artist for the unit, which was Maud Lewis. Maud Lewis had some physical challenges. She had some disabilities, I guess, and so she was very unique. She's very well known for her folk art. She lived in a tiny little 1-room, no electrical, no indoor plumbing house that's actually preserved in a museum in Halifax, I believe. And so now I had taken out a bunch of books about Maud Lewis and I had previewed them, but when it came time to take them out again, other people were using them. So I don't have them here to show you, but I'll try and link them down below in case you're interested in them. And then for our art project, we did lighthouses based on Peggy's Cove kind of scenery, made out of paper and kind of piecing paper together. I don't have them here because they're not quite finished, but I will insert a picture for you here so that you can see what they look like. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera around. I'll give you a quick look at what their binders look like and how I put those together. And then I'll go through all the extra books that we have as well and resources, because we like to take out books kind of for all ages, just on whatever we're learning about, so the kids can grab them and look at them whenever they want to. So here's an overview of their binders, and I will just kind of take you through them. This is my 4-year-old, my 7-year-old, my 8-year-old, and my 10-year-olds. So I always start off my daughters. She always, of course, wants to be a part of what we're learning. So she starts off with a map on the first day, and then she just has some coloring pages. I try and find ones that are kind of relevant about whatever we're talking about that day. So I think we were talking about like grows in the area, things like that. And she just colors the pictures and draws as she wants to. Now these are some of those pages from the Apple Press book. And so we always start off with, again, something to do with the map. And then we go through talking about landforms and landscapes, geography, the First Nations of the area, the history, the industries. Oh, turn the page here. So you can see it's quite a variety of things. And then we have a map at the end where we fill in cities. And then there's a quiz as well that we work through together, and some note pages. So then what I do is I just add a few extra pages in as the children get older. So many are the same, just a few are added in. So about the Loyalists, about the reading maps and historical areas, more about natural resources. This one's about Halifax, Cape Breton, and again, the same with the notes at the end. And then my oldest son, who is in grade 5, here's a look at his. Again, very similar, just a few added sheets in here and there. So this one is about the currents. The plan of Port Royal. Oh, missed one there. Harvesting blueberries. And again, one of the things I like about this book is they show different types of maps. And they ask kind of what the difference is and what you can tell on one and what you cannot tell on it. And again, notes. So there is a really quick overview of how I put the binders together so that it works for ages 4 through 10 all together. So the first book that I have here is Jacob's Landing by Daphne Greer, which is a novel. The next one is The Dead Man's Boot. You can see what that looks like, and that's by Eric Murphy. And we have this one here, Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia, and New Brunswick. This is more about tourist attractions, maps, things like that. This is another one by Eric Murphy. This is The Phantom's Gold. This is a novel. This is from the Our Canadian Girl series. This is Rachel. It's quite a thick novel. This is Lonely Planets, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Prince Edward Island. Again, more kind of touristy maps, things like that. Chaos in Halifax by Catherine Beveridge, I believe that's how you say it. You can see what that novel looks like. Canada in the 21st Century, Nova Scotia. This gives more of a historical kind of overview for a little bit of an older child. And I have Blizzard of Glass, the Halifax Explosion of 1917. You can see here lots of reading, so it's for an older child, but there's pictures of the destruction and the events that occurred. This is Samuel de Champlain. This is an early reader, so it's fairly simple. This is Sable Island, the Wandering Sandbar. Pretty unique place, Sable Island. So this one is kind of for a younger child. It has some great pictures in it. Why I Love Nova Scotia. This is a series of board books that we try and get whenever I can find them in our library. Let's see, really fun pictures, short, but a nice board book for younger children. This is Theodore 2 and the Shipwreck School. My older kids were reading this book too. They really liked it. Very, very simple story. Simple illustrations. A Day with You in Paradise. Nice illustrations, very simple book there. This is Sailing for Glory by Terry Lynn Javeneau, I believe. If you are Canadian, you probably know about the Blue Nose, a famous ship that is on our dime as well, our 10-cent piece. Some information there. This is Race the Wild Wind, a story of the Sable Island horses. Some beautiful pictures in here too. A short story. And another one about the horses is this one here. Free as the Wind, Saving the Horses of Sable Island. Next one here is Explosion Newsy. You can see kind of a shorter story, a little bit longer, but not too long. There. This is from the Canadian Geographic Regions. This is a Canadian Shield. Of course, there is Cordelia as well, but I didn't have that book right now. Somebody else has it out from our library. But you can see what it looks like. These books we're using all year long as well. Here's Nova Scotia. It's just a simple book showing pictures, a little bit of writing, just kind of an overview of the province. This is Viola Desmond Won't Be Budged. She did not believe in the segregation of blacks and whites, and so she fought for that through her actions. Actually, this was before Rosa Parks. So, great book there, a story about what happened to her. This is Lighthouse, a story of remembrance. This is by Robert Munch, who is an awesome Canadian author. Very simple story with some beautiful artwork. And then this is another series that we're using throughout the year, Canadian Aboriginal Art and Culture, and this is the Micmac, if I'm saying that right. But there's quite a few books in this series. They're all laid out the same way. And then we have this one here, B is for the Blue Nose, and Nova Scotia Alphabet. This is another series that we're trying to use for each province when we can. I'll show you what it looks like. Some really beautiful artwork in here. And I really like it because it has the alphabet for younger children, a little bit of writing for a little older, and then more detailed for even older children. So really beautiful books. And those are all the resources that we used for this unit. So if you have any questions or I've missed anything, please leave them in the comments down below and I will try and answer them for you. Otherwise, I hope this has been useful for you, and if it has, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, and I hope you're having a great day. Take care.